And you know, there are, once in a while, you'll run across some guy like the Decatur, Alabama student who said, you know, I think I've got a lot of property here. My property is valuable, and I don't have any garbage. And I don't need to subscribe to this garbage service if I don't have garbage. So I just thought I'd pass that on so that you too could get on the green bandwagon and stop having garbage. And the next time some big outfit like BFI or somebody wants to take you on and make an example out of you, why don't you learn how to take on BFI and make an example out of them? You know, it works both ways. Now, right along this line of garbage over here, there's another thing. They got down in Los Angeles County. I was down there doing a seminar one day, and this guy came up to me and he said, I got a problem here with the health department. And I asked the guy, I said, are you sick? And he said, no, it's not that I'm sick. He said, the health department, you see, they came out and they wrote me this citation. And he showed me the citation, and it complained about a 1968 Chrysler town car that was jacked up on concrete blocks in his front yard, and they called it an abandoned vehicle. An abandoned vehicle. And it had a carpet draped over the top of it. And they called that rubbish. And he had a pile of boards over there that had fallen over, and they called that trash. They said that this guy had abandoned vehicles, rubbish, and trash all over his yard. And I asked this man, I said, why do you have this abandoned vehicle in your front yard? And he said, well, you see, when it wouldn't run anymore, I jacked it up and I took the parts off of it. And I said, could it be that that is a sculpture in your front yard, and that's a lawn ornament, and that you, at great expense, put it out there because you enjoy looking at a lawn ornament, like other people like looking at ceramic flamingos, or maybe they like looking at a wishing well, or maybe they like looking at a fish pond. Have you ever noticed, boys and girls, that in people's yards they have all kinds of crazy stuff? I mean, I see people, I'm driving down the street and I see these flamingos in the yard, I see wishing wells, I see all kinds of crap in their front yards. Isn't that rubbish and trash? It sure as hell looks like rubbish and trash to me. And that's what I told him. I said, now, I personally don't care much for 1968 Chrysler town cars jacked up on concrete blocks as an ornamental article in my front yard. But if that's what turns you on, and if that's what you want to spend your money on to create lawn ornaments for beauty so that you can have happiness, remember? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Would you like to pursue happiness with a 1968 Chrysler town car jacked up on concrete blocks with a carpet stretched over the top of it? Is that what you call art? Okay. You know, whatever turns you on there, Buster. If that's what you like, get after it. So I went over the thing. In fact, he invited me out, and I took a look at his front yard, and I said, oh, my God. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. Kind of reminded me of home. Hell, it's kind of like my place, where you've got, abandoned cars here and there, and kind of touches up, gives you a little feeling, for rustic and in history and things like that. And then you got all this junk and stuff that you meant to move to some other location on your property, but you haven't got to it yet, and so it's sitting out here in the front yard. Here in the Ozarks, we kind of measure people, by their wealth. How many washers and dryers do you have in the front yard, and how many up on the porch? I was over at McCullough's the other day. He's got 2 refrigerators on the porch and 1 dryer. Don't know what happened to the washer. He's got a couple of cars out in the front yard and 2 on the side. Got the goats running around in between them, keeping the grass down. That's over at McCullough's. Now, I don't know. Different people have different ideas as to how they want to decorate their property, what kind of lawn ornaments they like to have out there, what kind of animals. In the city, most people want dogs and cats. Over here, McCullough's got 2 or 3 goats. I don't know. what turned John? What is it that you like? Some people like cats and dogs. Some people like goats. You know. All right, so I said, well, why don't you write up an answer to this, and then let's go into court and let's argue this. So he did. He went in there and he said, no, I've got a pile of lumber over here. Every single thing on the complaint he has to answer. Let me ask you this. Let's suppose that you went down to Home Depot and you bought a unit of lumber and they came out and they delivered it and you put it where? Where are you going to put it? Aren't you going to put it in your front yard? Okay. Now, it's sitting in your front yard. Is a unit of lumber that's delivered today from Home Depot rubbish, trash, or garbage? Isn't that valuable building material? Well, if a unit of lumber that comes from Home Depot today is valuable building material, can you tell me why isn't a pile of lumber that you've had sitting here for the last 18 years a valuable pile of building material? What in the hell did you plan to do with that lumber, Bob? Didn't you plan to use it someday for some building project around the house? Why are you keeping that lumber out there in the front yard? Isn't it because it's too valuable to throw away? And that when you throw it away, you're going to need to go to Home Depot and buy some and have them deliver it? I mean, isn't that the purpose for lumber? That's not rubbish. That's not trash. That's valuable building supplies, for crying out loud. So he answered the complaint. He said, I don't have any rubbish or trash. I have valuable lumber, which is building supplies for remodeling my house. That's what it's for. It's why we buy it. It's why we have Home Depot and Lowe's. And then they complained about bricks. There was a story in there on their complaint about bricks and about concrete blocks. What do you use bricks and concrete blocks for? Is that rubbish and trash? I mean, the guy across the street must have complained about this guy's lawn ornaments and decorations. They complained about this abandoned vehicle. And he said, I don't have any abandoned vehicles. I have a sculpture in my front yard. I have a lawn ornament. It's a 1968 Chrysler Town Car. And I put the carpet on the top of it because it reminds me of morning, noon, and night. It's a sculpture. Now listen, your city probably spent thousands of your taxpayer dollars to have some lunatic from the city come out there and make some kind of a monstrosity that they stuck out in front of City Hall, for crying out loud. And they call that art. What in the hell's wrong with a 68 Chrysler Town Car with a carpet stretched across the top, sitting on concrete blocks, and call it morning, noon, and night? Well, why isn't that art? Furthermore, he did one more neat little trick. He went around in the neighborhood and he took pictures of other people's lawns and gardens and lawn ornaments. And wouldn't you know it, there were other people that had cars in their front yards and boards. And when you find pictures like that in your community, that says that this law is being arbitrarily and capriciously enforced against me. Furthermore, I don't have any abandoned vehicles. I only have artworks, sculptures, morning, noon, and night, lawn ornaments, building materials for remodeling my house. And you're seeking to take my property. You're seeking to condemn my property without just compensation. And so as a parting word, he said, listen, I think that if you want to take my lawn ornaments, my boards, my bricks, and my concrete blocks, and my carpet over the top of my lawn sculpture, and he put a price on there of $28,000. He said, if the city wants to condemn my property, that's what I want for it. Let's go litigate under eminent domain. And do you know, the health department came back and said, no, we don't think we want to mess with that. As far as I know, down in Los Angeles, there's a guy down there, I don't remember his address now, but he's got I assume he's still got a 1968 Chrysler Town Car sitting in his front yard with a carpet over the top called morning, noon, and night. But it's not an abandoned vehicle, boys and girls. It's sculpture. It's artwork. It's property.